This is a modern Bauhaus website, and in this video I want to take you through exactly how I designed it. I'm going to go through research, branding, wireframing, and finally producing a high fidelity design in Figma. Hey, I'm Finn, web designer and Webflow developer, and I wanted to start taking you a bit more behind the scenes about how I design and develop websites. But in this specific video, I'm super excited to show you how I did this recent Bauhaus website. But you might be wondering, what is Bauhaus? Bauhaus was a design movement that started over 100 years ago in Germany with the Bauhaus School of Design. Its distinct, bold, yet minimal style has made it famous in the world of design. And Bauhaus has influenced many modern designers like Dieter Rams, who has pioneered a lot of the modern product design and even influenced big companies like Apple. The key philosophy behind the Bauhaus movement is that your design should be simple and form should follow function. So things should be minimal, but also look beautiful. And we can actually apply these same principles to designing a modern website. And let's begin with the brief. I went to ChatGPT and created a brief for Studio Bau, a respected interior design agency based in Munich, Germany. Studio Bau are looking for a creative yet minimal landing page that highlights their work and can attract them clients. They want the website to reflect their Bauhaus heritage, focusing on modern minimal design, Bauhaus branding styles like using shapes and colors, and have a creative yet functional set of animations. With the brief outlined, I set up a Figma file with a page for each stage of the project. And for me, I always like to start by finding inspiration. To find inspiration, I went straight to Pinterest. I only just started using Pinterest pretty recently, but I wish I had started earlier. It's an absolute goldmine of graphic design inspiration, web design, font inspiration. There's so many things on Pinterest. I collected inspiration across three main areas: Bauhaus graphic design, Bauhaus typography, and imagery. Now, when you're collecting inspiration for your projects, I find it's really handy, of course, to have website inspiration. For this project, I used a product called Made with GSAP. It's a collection of beautifully designed sections animated with GSAP. So it will provide some pretty nice inspiration for the design, but also for animating our site. By the way, I'm going to be developing this design on Webflow, so if you are interested in learning how I'm going to bring this design onto the web, hit subscribe to see that upcoming video. But anyways, as I'm collecting all this inspiration, I'm starting to get pretty familiar with the Bauhaus style of design. With enough inspiration gathered, it was time to move on to making some brand guidelines. Now, branding is a really big topic because branding also includes things like tone of voice, product positioning, and market positioning. But in this video, I'm just focusing on the visual identity. So things like fonts, images, typography, and a logo. Let's start off with typography. I looked at a lot of different fonts and typography across the web, and what I settled on was this font called New Order. I actually found it on a blog post by Adobe, and since I have Adobe font subscription, I was able to get this font for free. This font New Order, it really reminded me of this architecture style called Art Deco. It was really popular in the 20s, and you can see it in a lot of old buildings. This Art Deco vibe really did match with the Bauhaus style because they're both from a similar time period. So we'd be using New Order for our bold headings. For our paragraph font, I chose PP Neue Montreal, which is a very clean, modern typeface with high legibility. So I think these two would form a really nice font pair for our design. For colors, I then used Figma's eyedropper tool to get 4 core Bauhaus colors: a red, yellow, blue, and a green. I just adjusted the hue slightly to fit my taste, but this only took about 15 minutes, but I'm really happy with the result. An often overlooked part of the color palette are the tones. These are like the background colors of sections that aren't your main colors, but they are your foundation of your white space. So I found a subtle beige, a white, and a soft black combination that would give me a solid base to design from. Now let's talk quickly about images. When I first started out with web design, I really didn't place much importance on having an image style. I just thought an image is an image, just put it on the page. But actually, there's lots of different styles and ways we can express our brand and look and feel through imagery. And it can really add a lot of value to your design and your branding. So I chose to use these kind of faded old money looking images to really give our website an old money feel. I also put together a very basic logo for the project, nothing fancy, but enough for this one project. Okay, so with the brand guidelines put together, the next stage to move into is content. We shouldn't really start designing until we know what it is that we're designing. I organized the page into sections, breaking down what each section would need, and I used ChatGPT to help me generate some of the content for these sections. Now guys, I want to take you through how I wireframe. We have our brief for the section, so this is either content or content requirements. And next to that, I just start with a very simple design, drag a frame, explore a new design. I'm not judging the quality of these wireframes. I'm just starting to explore, let my creative energy flow through. And I just keep dragging a new frame, exploring a new idea, dragging a new frame. And what we're doing is creating lots of options for the section. When I finish my exploration for the wireframe, I take all of my favorite sections from the options and I create 2 wireframes from them. And once we've produced these 2 wireframes, we just send them to the client for feedback. The client often gives feedback that they prefer one of the wireframes, but they want a specific section from wireframe 2 on wireframe 1. And then we simply take that feedback from the client and produce one final wireframe, which is the wireframe we're going to be using to create our final high fidelity design. Let me walk you through each specific section and how I went about designing it. So for the hero section, I went through a number of iterations before I landed on a very minimal background image with a logo on it. I think this represents the minimal nature of the Bauhaus design language. All we're doing is showing one of the projects with our background image and then who did the project, Studio Bau. And I curved the bottom right corner of the background image to sort of bring in a bit of that Bauhaus shape to the hero section. On scroll, a basic nav will appear from the top of the screen. Our next section down is a featured project section. We've got a basic introduction of who Studio Bau is in this paragraph here, who they help. And then below that, we go right into showing projects. And the projects are organized in this sort of slider view. The user can click and drag this kind of slider and it warps the images in a fun way. I think this is an animation that provides value in terms of interactivity, but also makes the website fun to use. For the services section, I experimented with a few different designs of card, and the idea is that each of these cards takes up 100% of the viewport height, and I want to create this animation where the cards are stacking. Again, this is done and made with GSAP library, so this is kind of showing you how, myself as a developer and designer, I take inspiration from these kind of products to breathe life into my designs. For the testimonial section, we didn't really have images of our clients, and so I'm just going to be using project images instead. And because I want to differentiate this section to the project section, I made a different layout, arranging them in this format. Each of these little projects here has different pieces of furniture inside, and so what I thought would be really fun is to have on hover, a little piece of furniture from that project appears in the middle, and that this can highlight Studio Bau's ability to curate and select furniture for their clients. Now to finish off the page, we have a call to action section with the email, so that anyone can reach out via email to Studio Bau. We've got a couple of images in there of team and also some pieces of furniture. And we have a very minimal footer with Studio Bau going the full width of the screen. Now guys, of course, this is an exploration project, so if it's on a real client project, we need to add things like a contact form. We'd also need to make sure that these projects here, when they're clicked, actually go to a project page, but I'm just keeping it as a single page for this video. So that was a little sneak peek behind my workflow about how I design going from brief, basic concepts and wireframes, all the way to a final design. The next step is for us to develop this, to bring it onto the web with Webflow. So if you are curious about development as well, hit subscribe, because one of my upcoming videos is going to be about how I develop this design in Webflow. Thank you heaps for watching, and see you around.